I studied the tag, then looked almost straight up at the opera director's corpse. Henri Richard's eyes seemed to stare directly down at the graffiti. "What does it mean?" I asked. AB 16, some French thing?
"We have no idea," Hoskins said. "Or at least I have no idea. Yet. But tell me, Mr. Morgan, what does it all suggest to you? This mystery woman Henri was with, the fire diversion across the street so her accomplice could enter, the weapon, the setting, the position of the body post-mortem, and this graffiti."
Louis cleared his throat and said,
"I'll tell you what I think."
"I didn't ask for your opinion, Louis," Hoskins said brusquely. "I'm interested in an LA perspective for the moment."
Langlois puffed up in irritation but bit his tongue when I gave him an almost imperceptible shake of my chin and said, "From an LA perspective, the position of the corpse and the tag is meant to cause shock, attract attention, provoke interest, and perhaps invite speculation. Through a West Hollywood lens, it would be interpreted as fetishistic, the killers acting out some kind of perversity, real or imagined."
"The weapon?"
After considering that, I went with my instincts and said, "The curtain rope is part of Richard's world, so it could be symbolic or it could be ironic. The setting could be interpreted in either way as well, depending on the killer's intent." The investigator wrapped her arms together and pursed her lips.
"And this graffiti?"
"In LA, graffiti can mean a lot of things," I replied. "But here, it strikes me like gang graffiti, meant to define turf in some way." Hoskins walked around the tag, considering it, glancing up at the body and then halting. She looked at Louis.
"And you, Monsieur Langlois?"
Louis's eyelids went heavy.
Jack has said it all.
She stared at him with her jaw moving slightly, but then smiled at me and extended her hand.
"Well then, I appreciate you coming in, Mr. Morgan. At the moment, we need to clear the theater so the criminalists can do their job."
I shook her hand, took her card, and gave her mine. As we turned to leave, she said,
"And Louis, I know you said Private Paris has been hired by Richard's mistress, but that gives you no legal standing to get in the way of my murder investigation. We're clear on that?"
His eyelids still heavy, Louis said,
"Très clair, Madame l'investigateur."
The streets outside the Palais Garnier had been turned into a media circus by the time we exited the opera house. Word of Richard's death was out. There were white television vans parked beyond the cordoned area. Several reporters recognized Louis and started peppering him with questions in French. He begged off, telling them that Investigator Hoskins was the person to find. When we'd finally broken free of them, Louis lit a cigarette and puffed on it violently while using his iPhone to summon a ride through Uber, an app and company that provide on-demand private cars and drivers.
2 minutes,
he said.
"This Uber thing really works, you know."
I nodded. I've used it in LA when I've wanted to go out, have a few drinks. On another note, Hoskins really does not like you.
"Oh, really?"
Louis said, drawing it out and dripping with sarcasm. Then he flicked his ash and added, with a tinge of regret,
"It is a pity, actually, because I do admire her, and in the art of love, she was truly magnificent."
The Uber car turned up before I could reply. We climbed in, and Louis gave the driver the address of our new client, the opera director's mistress. When we were rolling, I said, "You did see something in the opera house that I missed, right?"
"Perhaps,"
Louis said. "Want to enlighten me?"
"There is a friend of mine I wish to consult before I draw any conclusions or make any claims."
"Former cop?"
"A professor of art,"
he said.